what they did to get in, but an opposite with help of the pad team.
Okay. Do you know how long we expect that to happen? Is this a long process, or for the most part, this is pretty easy once we know it is safe for them to start getting out?
Once the rocket, we know the rocket's in a good config and they give the go, it's relatively quick to make sure that...
RLM-11.
Go ahead.
RLM line items disabled for red line report.
Roger. Peony 2, LC.
Go ahead.
Secure CEC and activate safing purge.
Roger.
And you hear the
FTS, LC.
FTS.
Secure RF FTS and GPS metric tracking.
Roger.
That's the comm there from ULA. They are following their specific, procedure, and it's really just true professionals executing the scrub on the ULA side, as well as Boeing.
CEC secured and saving purge active.
Roger.
Another look inside Starliner. Butch and Suni there. Butch closest to us, Suni to his right, and a pad team member in there who will soon help them get out of Starliner. Nicole, you were saying, you must know how they might be feeling right now. You're close with them as friends and also as a fellow astronaut.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, of course, a natural human reaction is a little bit of disappointment. It's a very exciting time, and we all want to see, this spacecraft launch. But at the same time, it's a deep sense of appreciation that the team is doing the right thing, that they are checking all of the instrumentation, that they are able to identify something that's off nominal, because the last thing you want to do is deal with something like that in space. And so when we identify something like this on the ground, we see that as a big win. We avoided a potential problem by identifying it early, and yep, the will scrub. This is something I think as an astronaut you'd train to multiple times, and you're prepared for that as well. It's important that you keep your head in the game though, because potentially they could launch tomorrow, depending on the findings of this investigation. And so you maintain your focus. You are still sitting on top of a rocket filled with prop, and so you follow your procedures just like everybody does. You never let your guard down, and they'll execute the steps to safely get out of the spacecraft, and then they'll go back to crew quarters. They'll maintain their quarantine so that they can preserve a launch opportunity, and then they'll wait for more information from the team.
Yeah, you talk about how the team rehearses all different scenarios. It truly is. I mean, can you talk for those who might not know, can you talk about the process of, simulating all the things that could go wrong so that if it does happen, everything is kind of rote. It's kind of just like muscle memory, and you don't really have to think too much because you just know it like the back of your hand.
Absolutely. That is the most important part about being well trained. And it's not only the astronauts, it's the entire team. So you see that the pad team knows exactly what they need to be doing. You can hear the comm from ULA. Everybody at their console has specific responsibilities and steps that they need to take. And each member of the team is critical to make sure that we're successful in these type of procedures. And we train to them in simulations, scrubbing, and pretty every contingency that we can think of, we will actually run through. In the few instances where I've been involved in an actual contingency or an emergency, you're right. The training really takes over. You maintain focus, you execute your procedures, and it's really not until after that's all done that you realize that...
Hey, Houston Starliner, we're standing by, as we said. We did go ahead and unstrap. Curious if we're going to run anything in the scrub recycle procedure as you're looking forward, since we didn't get very far.
Starliner, Houston, loud and clear. We are running it. A lot of the events are no perform because we didn't get that far in the count. I will keep you appraised. The main action on your radar will be bringing the suit fan Bravo to off before you jump out.
Yeah, and we're not going to open the cabin vent valve or anything, I'm assuming as well.
Negative, yeah. Hatch is open, so none of that applies.
Yeah, that's what I see. Okay, thanks.
And that was our Capcom capsule communicator, Josh Kutrick, who will be flying on Starliner 1. He's the Capcom for Ascent, and he was just talking to Butch about the scrub recycle procedures that he has in his checklist.
And Capcom is the voice that we've primarily been hearing talk to the astronauts, correct?
Yes, during the comm checks, you'll hear a lot of different folks talking on the loops. But really, once the launch happens and they get to orbit, then the only person talking to the crew is the Capcom.
And LC Slick on Channel 1.
Go ahead, Slick.
Yeah, we're getting ready for crew egress, so we would be good for the CTV to come to the pad gate and hold there.
Roger. OSM, LC.
OSM.
Roger. Notify crew transport convoy to return to pad, permit entry into the BDA, and ask them to hold at the pad gate, please.
Roger.
Call-outs now to have the Astrovan return to the launch pad to pick up the crew once they have egressed. Oh, egressed, excuse me.
And you can see Butch and Suni, they're unstrapped and visors are up. They're just waiting for the call from ground to turn off that suit fan, which is the fan that's providing air to their suits prior to detaching their suits from the spacecraft and exiting Starliner.
Again, if folks are just joining us, about 12 minutes ago, the launch team has decided to stand down from today's launch attempt. We were targeting 10:34 and 14 seconds Eastern Time for a liftoff of NASA's Boeing crew flight test. We now are looking at Commander Butch Wilmore and pilot Suni Williams. They are in the Starliner spacecraft, awaiting word that they can continue with egress procedures.
Starliner Houston, still with you. No real change. OFM is off. The prop system is not secure, but it's an unknown and an expected config, and we'll still get suit fan Bravo off here before you jump out. Otherwise, just stand by for us.
Yep, we're standing by. Thank you.
The reason the launch team is standing down today is so that they can evaluate an oxygen relief valve on Centaur. That's the second stage of ULA's Atlas V rocket. Nicole, some of those callouts we just heard over the operational communication loops, or nets as they're called, again, just taking steps towards safing the launch vehicle, right?
Yes, ULA is working towards making sure the launch vehicle is in a good config, and then Mission Control is focusing on Starliner, the spacecraft itself, to make sure that the systems are in the proper configuration before the astronauts exit the spacecraft. And I think you heard the call there from Josh that the final thing will be to turn their suit fans off. And so the controllers in Mission Control, the flight controllers, are now sending commands, to the spacecraft to get it in that good config, and then Butch will send that final command for the suit fan.
Throughout the show, we've had commentators across NASA, Boeing, and ULA monitoring the launch. So why don't we head back over to our ULA commentator, Dylan Rice, who continues to monitor what's happening now as we take steps to egress the crew.
Thanks, Megan. Yeah, you've heard some of the communication as the team has gotten into the securing processes here. So from a rocket perspective, really what's going to happen next is we're just going to hold the current configuration of the rocket. We're not going to start detanking. We're not changing any configuration at all until the crew has egressed the capsule and the team has left the pad. There were a couple of
LCOSM.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. You have per step 90. You have 20 personnel entering BDA at this time.
Roger.
Okay, with that call indicating the crew convoy has now arrived back at the pad. But there were a couple initial securing items that we did early on in the process here, and that was securing our RF systems and then stopping the Centaur engine chill down, given that we're not planning on launching today. Otherwise, the launch vehicle is maintaining a safe configuration until we get the crew and the blue team away from the pad. And in a situation like this, if we see any data signature that is not something that we have seen before, then we are just simply not willing to take any chances with with what is our most precious payload. So we're going to take a step back, go review that data, go understand why this signature is different from what is in our previous experience base, and then we'll take whatever action required before we reattempt a launch. So for now, the team is going to continue to watch over the launch vehicle as the crew gets ready to egress the capsule. The 3 members of the ULA Blue team now are going to be standing by, waiting to secure the White Room once the crew has egressed Starliner, and then at that point we'll close Starliner up and begin our detanking. So in our planning and in our practice runs, that whole process takes just a little over an hour. So we're I believe we're approximately 15 minutes into that time now. So very shortly we'll be seeing the astronauts egress the capsule and then make their way down the crew access tower back to the van and back over to the ONC for the evening.
And of course, all of our teams do so much training, so many run-throughs, and scrubs are no different. We run through good days, and we also run through scrubs. So this is not the first time these teams are going through these motions, even though this is the first time we have had a crew on Starliner. So they will be going through their procedures for this scrub. I think we saw just a second ago some of the pad team members flipping through, and they're going to be leaving everything in the proper configuration for...
And Houston TLT is egressing. I'm waiting on the suit fan call.
Copy. We still got good video, and we will call you for suit fan Bravo. Thanks.
Okay, up.
All right, so Butch just waiting now while Suni gets out first. Just like we saw Butch go in first, Suni come in second. They'll go
and Starliner, Houston, for CDR this time. We see you getting out. As soon as you are on your way out, you go to shut that suit fan Bravo off. Let us know when it's off.
Welcome.
And Suni making her way out of the spacecraft now. The pad team there to help her get out.
You know, Lauren, just like we talked about when we started the built-in hold as we prepared to load the astronauts, this countdown has really been developed to support not only just 2 astronauts but 5, even 7 astronauts on Starliner, right? So the same thing with the egress procedure. When it comes time to pull astronauts out, the time that we've got allocated could support as many supports pulling a full complement of astronauts off of Starliner. That's not what we're doing today. We've just got Butch and Suni on board, and so it is possible that we'll be moving much more quickly into our scrub detank operations. But for now, we have got bookmarked that 65 minutes to get the crew off, but probably will not quite take that long, given that we're only pulling two people out of Starliner.
And of course, this happened early enough in the countdown that the pad team was still there. We didn't have to wait for the pad team to return and help them get out. So as Suni is going through her scrub procedures right now in the White Room outside of Starliner, Butch is waiting for the pad team to help him egress the spacecraft.
And again, these are contingency procedures that, just like the launch procedures, we have exercised these contingency procedures as well for launch scrubs and having to come down off the tower and head back to the ONC. So nothing new to this team. This team has been through these procedures, and they're very well understood.
LC Slick on channel 1.
Go ahead, Slick.
Hey, looks like CDR is out. We're going to go do a few things, but we'd be ready to do comm checks with LC on the OSC radio here in a minute, and we'll get the CTV up to the base of the cat.
Roger.
You see Butch is now out of Starliner, back into the White Room as they start to detach some of those items that were on his spacesuit.
That previous call we just heard as well, once the astronauts are out of the capsule and the blue team is complete up on the tower, they're not in complete communication